Hello, this is I Go Travel with Don Barnett. We're probably on the last video that we'll make in Yuma here, but we will take the old motorhome out into the backcountry and see what it's like upstream from Yuma. And I think we'll trade the old cowboy hat off for a bicycle helmet, and we'll go for a bike ride along the canal here in Yuma. So come along. Join us. As you come into Yuma on Highway 95 from the north, you travel through a military testing base. And these Army monuments are along the highway. We spotted this huge surveillance balloon in the distance. Next day we noticed it in the sky. Unlike the hot air balloons that we saw at Lake Havasu at the festival there, and they could only go up and down. This airship, in contrast, had a motion and a propeller that enabled the pilot to steer the ship and turn it in various directions. After a few days in Yuma, we decided to look at the countryside, and this is what we saw. You see it when you first come into Yuma. What surprised me most and impressed me was the flatness of the land and the huge side of the agricultural fields. They are as big or bigger than prairie grain fields, but they are fields of garden vegetables. Here is an irrigation canal, empty right now, but it is filled with water during the growing season. Water reaches the plants sometimes in above-ground irrigation pipes, and sometimes the water is pumped underground. In most cases, however, the irrigation canal floodgates are opened, and these huge fields are totally flooded with water. The water comes from underground and from the Colorado River, where water flow is diminishing each year. Let's keep driving out in the country here and look at some of the machinery used in the fields. They're big fields, like I said, and they need machinery to run them. They also need individual hand labor a great deal. But again, big flat fields and some modern machinery to operate. It's a big business. You can see here where the rows are spread so tractor wheels do not run over the lettuce. Nice fresh lettuce from here to your grocery store and table. This looks like cabbage, and you can see where the tractor wheel went between the cabbage. This is one of the tractors they use. Notice how narrow the wheels are on the tractor, and the front wheels line up with the back wheels, so the wheels stay in between the rows of produce. Not all harvesting is done with machinery. You frequently see groups of workers cutting and sorting the produce. Big numbers of workers are needed, and many come legally back and forth across the border from Mexico every day. There are also, of course, illegal crossings to work, but when the crop is ripe, either harvest it or lose it. Without these essential workers, vegetable prices in our local grocery stores would skyrocket. The indigenous people of the Colorado River are the Quisan. In an agricultural environment, they cultivated pumpkins, melons, corn, squash, and wheat. Today, they lease much of their land for modern agricultural production. Historically, they had conflict with the indigenous tribes in the area, also with the Spanish and the American Army. Today they have a large modern casino on the California side of the river. We paid a minimum fee to park at their casino. There is a small cultural center room in the casino, but they had to close it down due to the continual stealing of artifacts and souvenirs by the casino patrons. One of our favorite places to boondock was along the All-American Canal, overlooking not far from the border at the dental town where people get a lot of dental work done at Algodones. There was lots of bush and woods, shrub for people to hide who were crossing the border illegally. And we've spent many a night, and I describe some of these nights exciting in another one of the videos on Yuma. At the various times of the year, the wind blows quite a bit. As you can see, the wind blowing these small trees, and our bike cover was getting blown around quite a bit here. But the wind blows quite a bit at certain times, like I say. There is a nice, easy paved 6 to 10 kilometer bike trail that starts at the information center, and you can go both directions from the center. We're going in toward town initially here, and nice paved trail on the railway side, on the right side. They run a railway in the summertime, I guess, giving you little tourist rides. But it's a very pleasant, kind of an easygoing trail. There was quite a few of these nice red flowers in bloom, especially near the Tourist Information Center. This is how the trail looked going the other direction from the Information Center. You crossed under a couple of nice big bridges, a modern one and an older one that we'll see in a minute. But it was initially through a park area, and very pleasant and easy riding. It was a level trail and lots of room, and it wasn't really too crowded. This is the bridge over the Colorado River. Once we were under the bridges, the trail moved on out of the immediate town area into the countryside, and we followed this canal for a half a dozen kilometers or so. And it continued on as a gravel trail following the canal, but we stopped, like I say, after a half a dozen kilometers at the end of the pavement. But it was a level, a beginner kind of a trail, and very nice indeed. We're down along the Colorado River where they're trying to restore the wetlands area here, just upstream from Yuma. They call the area the Imperial National Wildlife Refuge, and closer to Yuma, they are making the same attempts to restore the wetlands of the Colorado River here. You can see some of the restoration work here, and the area is quite wide, as you can see, and but they've been working at it and doing a good job, and they recognize the importance of the flyways for the birds. And the birds, the only birds we saw were really these black duck birds. And the area is quite a nice area overall. They're also bringing in the human element, handicapped people, visitors, tourists, things for them. I thought this was a worthwhile idea. They had just this fiber plastic piping has been put together to deposit fish line in it. As you know, fish line thrown in the water does a tremendous amount of damage to fish and ducks and any other bird life along the shore or in the water. Anyway, they had these depository makeshift things all over the place. If you pay attention to the desert floor, you see these trails, pathways of wildlife, and probably in this area they feel that most of these paths are those of wild burrows left over from the early mining days, and they encourage you not to walk on these small trails because the scent of humans bothers the animals and upsets their migrating patterns. The one-time dried-out desert is starting to come back, and we'll take a little ride. We stayed mainly on these better roads because we were in our small motorhome. We weren't in a Jeep or a four-wheeler quad. And the roads were washboardy, but they were okay. They were hilly, and there were curves, and this is another area here. It was all fine as long as you paid attention and stayed on the road. The amount and the kind of vegetation varied. Here you can see we're in a more vegetation type of area. Whoa, some quads coming from another direction on another road, and we saw several Forerunner type vehicles like these running around on the desert. They were all going somewhere, probably just out to have a bunch of fun and recreation. There wasn't much traffic, but you still had to watch because of the steep little hills and sharp curves that were frequent in the road. Looks like we're in a little different area, a little rockier and more color. Look at the colors here of the desert. Quite contrasting and spectacular, really. Let's just see where this goes to. Look at those different colors. Here's a sign, the Painted Desert Trail. Let's walk it. We walked this, probably 2 or 3 kilometer trail. It was quite narrow in some parts, but the rocks were really colorful and very craggy, and it was really an enjoyable walk, but you had to keep your feet and careful where you stepped, eyes on the ground, because there are sidewinders there. There's not a lot of wildlife in the desert, but there is some, and it's amazing on just how the wildlife have adapted to their desert environment. Nature is really interesting once you get into it. For example, this desert cottontail has outstanding hearing. It will not forage if it is windy, because it cannot hear predators sneaking up on it. It feeds in groups for more ears to hear better. Now, it eats mainly grass, but it also eats its own feces. Now, think about that the next time you have rabbit stew. This rabbit, or more accurately, cottontail, can hop quickly away in a zigzag pattern at speeds over 40 kilometers per hour. It is near the bottom of the food chain, but it offsets this factor by reproducing quickly and in large numbers. I've mentioned the Roadrunner in other Arizona videos that I've made, so I won't repeat the same thing here. But like the cottontail, the Roadrunner is a 40-plus kilometer per hour runner. It is about the only small bird to attack, kill, and eat rattlesnakes. Its X-shaped footprint is found throughout ancient art and was often regarded by early people as a sacred symbol that would ward off evil spirits. Okay, we are going to other places after Yuma. If you like what you saw and you'd like us to put a few more videos up on the internet, hit the subscribe button, and that'll tell you mainly when we're going to schedule more videos. Until then, this is I Go Travel with Don Barnett. Adios for now.